How's it going? Ryan here. And today I'm going to review a couple trades I took on SPY, one being a loser, one being a winner, that ultimately resulted in me being up $20 on the day. But before we jump into the trades, we're on the daily time frame here. We'll look at some of the levels that I was watching. So a few, this 448 hasn't changed. This 450 or 445, been watching that. This 444, we've been watching that for a while. We added this zone here, which was 442.6 ish. You can see the support, resistance, resistance. Then we gapped from there. We have this line 441. I'm not sure where exactly that one came from, honestly. That might have been a level that I put in from like a pre-market or something, and I just didn't update it. But we have 440, one that we've been watching as well for a potential move to the downside. As you can see, we kind of held this range pretty tight. And then 438.38. As you can see, is resistance, resistance. Then we broke out and found support at that area. So those are the daily time frame zones. We also have the high of day and the low of day from yesterday's trading session, designated by the green and the red levels. These yellow levels are pre-market, lows, highs, areas of resistance. We also drew this trend line here, which it's pretty interesting, the reaction that we had to it today. So each time that we've reached the bottom of this trend line here, we've had a bounce off of it. So you can see pretty much every time we come down into this area, we bounced. We opened up pretty much right along that area. So I'll zoom in here. Did not work expected here. Wow. Alrighty. We opened pretty much right at that trend line and bounced, rallied right off of it initially before you can see we sold off. But that was an interesting kind of observation, looking at how we've been reacting to that trend line, and we've officially broken under it. So that trend line is no longer valid, but it was up through this morning. With that being said, I guess I can look at some of these levels. So this was the high of day and a supply zone from yesterday's trading session. We have the low of day and a demand zone from yesterday's trading session as well. Those are the levels: high of pre-market, low of pre-market. Had this kind of area of confluence that we struggled to break above. We touched that, I don't know how many times, probably close to 10. With that being said, though, we will dive into the 5-minute chart and look at the trades I took, how they played out, what went right, what went wrong. But let's get it. So right off the bat, as I was mentioning earlier, we kind of bounced off that trend line. We pushed up with some strength, got good volume coming up into this area. One thing that I was really looking for was this 444 level to act as a strong resistance. The reason being, if we look back on the daily chart, and excuse me for the mess here, we'll zoom in a little bit more, but this is the 444 level right here. You can see we had resistance quite a few times, 5 times before we broke and gapped up above it. We have come down, we found support at this level, we found resistance at this level today. So big level that we've had a lot of price action around. So going into the day, as we were approaching that, I was watching to see how price would react to that level, as I expected that such a strong support, once we're below it, would act as a strong resistance. And that was the basis for my first trade. My first trade was 443 puts, tomorrow's expiration. I took them as we tested this 444 level. The reason why I got into this trade was we pushed up, we had high volume. The subsequent candle had lower volume, and you can tell that we came up close to that level, not quite, but pushed down. So we had a bit of a wick here. This is a very bullish candle nonetheless. This candle a little less bullish. We pushed up, got pushed back down close to where the candle started. On the subsequent candle, I took a put position as we retested this area. However, this is where I took a loss. I had a very tight stop. Once I saw us push up and close up in this level, I sold. And I took a $9 loss. So a super small loss, very tight stop loss. In fact, I might say maybe even too tight. As you can see, we sold off from there, came down. This was my price target initially, this area of resistance from the pre-market. So lessons learned here. I didn't give it much room to run. And if I'm analyzing why I did that, I think it's because the past 2 days I've had green days. I want to keep that streak going. I want to continue to be green. And so I think this was a combination of seeing rising volume on this break above the key level and a close convincingly above it. There was no really weakness here. We pushed through that level pretty convincingly on volume rising from the previous. So I think that price action and volume psyched me out. I think what I need to realize is that this was a big level on a daily time frame. Whenever you have a level on a higher time frame, I think you have to be more conscientious of that in, say, like a 5-minute time frame. What it looks like on the daily is not going to reflect as well on the 5-minute. So even though we closed up above this level by what, 12 cents? We broke the level by 12 cents. I don't think, looking back, that should have got me out. But it did. So kind of two lessons in risk management here. I set my risk management very tight, and it caused me to take a small loss on a trade that would have been a winner. However, I think something to note is that taking that tight of a stop loss prevented me from taking a loss that I could come back from. I took a second trade on the day and ended up overall profitable, $19 to be exact. But the reason why I was able to take a second trade and end up profitable while only, being accurate 50% of the time is because this loser was so small. So I'm happy that I cut it quickly. My rule was if we had a convincing close above this, if it looked like, we might continue this bullish move up, because we were looking bullish coming into this. So shorting it was, or playing puts against this was going opposite of the momentum for sure. So not too mad about it. I think I could have given myself a little bit of grace, and I would have prevented getting stopped out, and I would have actually won on that trade. But I took a small loss. I watched, I waited, we came down, we found support here. It was a bit of a choppy day. Some of these swings, they weren't very easily telegraphed. As you can see, we have a very bearish candle, pretty much no wick on it. Immediately after, a very bullish candle, erasing that whole thing. So there was a lot of very green candle right into a very red candle. And there wasn't a lot of consolidation at a level like you might expect, something like this, where you come up, wick, fail to break slowly, and then you sell off. That on price action is much easier to read and trade than something like this, when you're just selling off and then explode up. This shows, that shows exhaustion at the top. You have a rise in volume as we push up. You have a decrease in volume as we start to sell off. At this level, we can't break above it. It looks like sellers are taking over. Buyers are kind of, getting worn down there. And then you have the big volume red sell candle. So something like that. Even this, you come up and you have this here. Even that at a key level is easy to read in comparison to moves like this. So was a little bit harder earlier in the day. It looks like we got some more kind of fluid movement in the evening. But with that being said, I took puts again as we reapproached this level. And the reason why I felt comfortable taking the same exact play that I had gotten stopped out on prior was because, one, that play had worked out. But two, you can see that once again we have higher selling volume than we do on the move up. The move up, the volume is declining as we push up into this area. Likewise, look at the price action. We push up, and get pushed back down. So a bullish candle nonetheless, but a bit of a wick at top. This candle, almost bearish. I mean, we pushed all the way up here and got sucked back pretty much to where we started. So this gave me confidence to take puts again as we got up to this level, and I took a put on this green candle here. Also, we had low volume on that push up into this level, so felt pretty good about that. My stop was if we broke the high, if we set a new high. So right there, if we pushed up above that, I was going to stop out. We got kind of close, but I stuck to my rules. I didn't get stopped out. My target was this low that we closed at. And you can see that it worked out pretty much perfectly. I didn't get stopped out. I wrote it down, and I actually somehow sold the very bottom of this move. I was targeting this low that we had made and bounced from. Reason being, we had such a strong bounce from it that I didn't want to try to hold through that. And, you know, taking from 444 down to almost 443, it's almost a full dollar move. So I wasn't trying to milk out much more than that. In addition, we are in yesterday's trading range at this point, so a bit of an explanation for the choppier price action. It's a lot to say, but small loss here, same play, took a win, followed my trading plan. It worked out pretty well. A little bit of luck involved in that for sure. But you can see we never really were able to set that new high. And then we sold off from the rest of the day. Some of these levels that played out, yesterday's low of day acted as a very temporary support here, broke below, excuse me, acted as resistance for this sell-off. This area mixed with this 442.6 acted as resistance for that sell-off. Came up, broke above it, almost tested this area that we were finding as support early. I suppose you could even see that, you know, on these bottom ticks, we did test that area and then sold off. So kind of a classic example of support becoming resistance. We found support here. Once we broke below it, we came up, retested, broke below. So that's how I traded today. I wish it moved like this on this trade, but like I said, I took one contract, I sold here. So that worked out really well for me. Overall, not a bad day. Stuck to my rules, took a real small loss. Probably could have done better on my position management there. But re-entered the trade with confidence, and it worked out, and I held till it hit my target, which I'm proud of, because that's been an issue the past 2 days that I've been green. I missed out or gave up some of the profits by not holding till my target. So I'm proud that I did on this one. With that being said, if you're here, I appreciate you. Thanks for watching. I trade live every single morning, Monday through Friday, on this YouTube channel. So if you feel so inclined, come by, swing by, say what's up, hang out. And yeah, I'd love to see you there. But I'll see you on the next one. Peace.